Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Toxic Waste of Time, where a couple of godless liberal demon-crat women's libbers talk about relationships with everything and ask you the burning question: is this person, place, thing, or belief non-toxic, toxic-ish, or a toxic waste of time? I'm Katie.
And I'm Ivy. This week, we are returning to you with quite the topic.
Yep, we are talking about our own relationships with religion and politics, because they're kind of the same thing now, unfortunately. And with a topic like that, we need to spin a really good icebreaker. So, Ivy, spin that wheel.
All right. Storms.
Okay. What's my
I love
relationship
storms.
with storms?
What's your relationship with storms?
I think they're pretty magical and awesome. I don't love it when there's like a threat of a tornado. That freaks me out. I don't love, destructive storms. But if it is a good old thunderstorm, I'm here for it. It soothes me, you know. I have a nice big upstairs window that looks out over the landscape of Nashville, and I can see storms rolling in sometimes.
That sounds
cool.
lovely.
Yeah. So I'm a fan, but only if they're not too spicy. It's got to be like a white people storm.
Spicy. Spicy storms. I love storms. I love even the spicy storms.
Yeah?
I love all the weather.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love the aftermath of some of the weather.
Right.
But
yeah.
I love all the weather. And I've had fear before, but sometimes fear is fun. I know people who are completely terrified of storms. My granddaughter's mother, when they lived next door, if my son was out of town or working late and there was a storm coming, she would literally take the baby and go stay with her grandparents.
Wow. Yeah.
Because she was scared. And I know people who have had, like one of my friends at the gym, they had a terrible storm and it was very bad and dangerous and all the things, and they are now terrified of storms. I've had some storms damage some things, but I still love it.
Yeah.
I think a thunderstorm is one of the coziest things imaginable.
Yeah. I do love the sound of it. If I have to put on white noise or something to relax myself, it's probably a thunderstorm. But
oh, you mean the
cat,
noise is thunderstorm?
Yeah, the noise of it.
Not that you would turn on white noise to block the thunderstorm.
Right. If the noise of a thunderstorm relaxes me. My cat, however, feels the exact opposite. He is terrified, the poor thing. When we had that big storm recently that had so many threats of tornado warnings and stuff that came through, I think it might have been a couple weeks ago.
I don't remember any recent storms. And last night we were just talking about how it hasn't even rained. It's been a very dry March.
It has been, yeah. But I don't remember when this was, but we were up pretty late just watching the weather to see if there was going to be a tornado warning, because we would rather just stay up than get woken up. And so we were up till 11:30, and then the next day I had to be up early, of course, So that wasn't particularly pleasant, but...
What does your cat do in the storm?
So, my one cat who's super old, he used to be freaked out by storms, and now he's deaf, so he doesn't care. But my young cat is very afraid, and he'll hide under the bed, and he was shaking, and he was really scared. I felt bad for him.
Orion's dog will make our life miserable in a storm.
Yeah. You've mentioned that he has some bad anxiety.
Yeah, well, it's Orion's dog is a girl, but she she will climb up and try to get under the pillow that I am currently sleeping on.
Yeah.
And she will shake the whole bed as though we were in one of those hotels in the 70s that you stuck a quarter in the bed.
Oh, so you get that for free, the magic fingers?
We get that for free and she's 8 pounds. She's literally nothing of a dog.
Yeah.
And she can shake the whole fucking bed.
Oh.
So I think storms are toxic-ish because a lot of people do find them. But for me, I would call them non-toxic. What about you?
I feel like they're non-toxic as long as they're not trying to kill me or destroy my property. That's the boundary for me.
Or
Storm,
other
if you
people.
want to push now I'm pissed.
I don't want other
But a good old-fashioned thunder rumbler, sign me up.
Love it. Yeah. Same, girl. All right. Well, this is a tough one, and I'm not going to pretend it's not.
Yeah.
I was not always the liberal apostate snowflake that I am today. I have been disentangling myself from my conservative upbringing for many years. And some days I still discover hidden little tidbits in my brain that come from a place of what I can only consider to be brainwashing. Raised in one of those evangelical Christian households, I was not given a choice. As far as what I was going to believe, I was taught religion in black and white. Christian equals good. Everything else equals bad. I started questioning, which is not okay. You don't question. I started questioning the religion part around the 5th grade when my parents joined what I consider to be a cult. And I never stopped questioning, which earned me the title of rebellious child.
Ugh.
How dare I? But as far as politics go, I always voted for who my dad told me until Obama, which I'm embarrassed by some of that, but it's true.
Well, the first time I ever I would have voted for Al Gore if I had been 18 in that election.
Okay.
Then my parents got up in my grill and convinced me to vote for W the next time. And then I did vote I voted in the primary when Obama was running. I voted for Obama in the primary. So by that time I was like, okay, don't tell me what to do anymore. But yeah,
same.
Almost same as you. Almost exactly. I was a youth group kid, even though church was mostly social for me. I tried to convert my non-Christian friends, and I'm amazed that they even tolerated me sometimes.
Yeah, gross. I would have
been
like,
when I
take
look
your
back on that,
denim skirt and go away.
Exactly. I can't believe that they wanted to be my friend badly enough that they would put up with that. So if any of them happen to be listening, thank you. But I was forced to listen to Rush Limbaugh or some preacher on AM radio every day on the way to school until I got my license and instead blasted Bush, Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, and Alanis Morissette. I did listen to Christian rock too, though. I was really shocked how many of my CDs were of that genre when I went back through them recently. And I was kind of like, what do I do with these?
LOL.
I don't need these. I wouldn't say that I fully deconstructed from all of that until a few years ago. And I'm not out here saying that any religion is better than any other. They're all kind of weird in my opinion. But to me, the problem really is the way that politics has entangled itself with religion now, to the point that the two things are practically inseparable.
Yep.
And aren't we supposed to have separation of church and state? Isn't that like a whole thing?
We are supposed to. But now we have the 10 Commandments in schools again. Because without them, how would we stop ourselves from killing people?
I don't know. If I don't have a laminated poster telling me not to kill people and covet my neighbor's wife, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. 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 What if I covet my neighbor's husband? It doesn't say anything about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it?
I think it says wife. So I think if you're into men, then you're fine.
It literally does. Yeah. So,
oh boy.
Personally, I am more inclined to be offended by religion than politics. Christianity specifically triggers me.
Like what we're really trying to focus on here is relationships with people that feel differently than you about spirituality and whatnot.
It often actually feels to me like folks are so determined to be right or fit the mold for their side that they're just running with a ball that they don't even really feel that strongly towards the goal that they're trying to get the ball into. And that it just shouldn't be an issue, like the whole trans thing. So according to research from the UCLA Williams Institute School of Law, trans people make up 1% or less of the global population. They should be a non-issue, a tiny population that is just trying to live their lives, but have been thrust into a spotlight they didn't ask for. Sometimes it feels like the libs will throw their own under the bus just to spite the conservatives. And the conservatives cannot help but take personal, none-ya-business stuff and get their religious zealots to make a huge deal out of it. One thing I feel very strongly about is that the Republican Party knows that religious people are easy targets because they are easily convinced. And that pisses me off because a majority of those people started out with good intentions.
Now, when you say those people, if you're referring to practitioners of Christianity, then probably,
Yes.
But I would not say that anybody capitalizing on that.
No. I'm
has
not saying
started out
that
with good intentions at all.
I'm not saying that the political part of it
Got it. Yeah.
started out. I'm
Yeah.
saying the Christians who have been completely and utterly overtaken. Like my whole point with the whole trans things and the libs throwing their own people under the bus.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you meant by that.
So it's almost like the conservatives are like, oh my God, you can't have an abortion. It's totally murder. And all these women are having abortions at like 10 and a half months pregnant. And that's not even a thing. But like then we've got the libs, the extremist ones going, hell yeah, I love my abortion, and wearing T-shirts that say, I love my abortion. It's just to poke. I don't know anyone who loved their abortion.
Yeah, exactly. That's weird to me.
And why all of a sudden, I understand that the LGBTQ community has always struck a nerve for religious people. It's always been a big thing for religious people.
Yeah, I have a theory about why that is.
So do I. But why do we even give them the ammunition to use? Like, trans people, like I said, they're just minding their business. How did they get thrown into the fire like this?
Because some people do not feel fulfilled unless they are in a toxic relationship, because that's the pattern that their brain has set up that they need in order to feel comfortable. And these are the type of people who need to start an argument because they're used to living in toxic stress. They're used to constantly being combative and aggressive and confrontational. Like, that's their state of mind where they exist. Mm-hmm. And they just have to find something to fight about. And I think about people online that when you make an innocuous, completely not meant to be taken as an insult type of comment, and then someone comments on it, well, I don't that is just someone who needs to fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my theory about why the LGBTQ plus community is a target for these folks is because the way that controlling women and reproduction is so endemic to that
I don't know what
religion.
endemic means.
It's built in.
Okay.
It is designed to be that way, to control women and their bodies, because the more that you control women and their bodies and their ability to reproduce, the more likely that men are to stay in power. Mm-hmm. It is all designed to protect the patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So if you let people go be gay, then you're taking away the necessity of them reproducing and participating in the patriarchy. And eventually, the more choice that people have about how they want to, live their life, choose to have children or get married or not, the more the patriarchy falls apart.
And I think that goes back to what I said before about religions hating women, because they want to keep the women down and the men up. And to me, that's a hatred of women.
Yeah. So to me, it really just feels like one party wants to give everybody their basic needs, protect their rights as humans, and make life decent. And the other just wants everyone to believe the same things they do under penalty of law.
Yes, you must agree with me at all costs because the Bible says so.
Right. When did that become what we agreed to as a nation? Never.
It never, ever did. And people confuse the whole religious freedom with we were founded as a Christian nation.
Yeah, that is just incorrect.
It is
Incorrect.
it is insane is what it is. So, Katie, do you have any non-family members who have very different beliefs from you with whom you maintain ongoing relationships?
Yeah.
What would you say your line in the sand is in that regard?
I had a hard time finding a line in the sand, as you'll see when I get to that eventually. But I have friends who are of all different types of religious persuasions. You know, I have friends who are Christian. I have friends who are questioning, agnostic. I have friends who are pagan, some who are Buddhist and like literally witches. You know, I have friends who are interested in every type of spirituality or zero spirituality. Like, I don't care. I don't give a single fuck what anybody's religious beliefs are. As long as you don't believe you're allowed to hurt other people, that's a problem, you know? But in my inner circle, we're all of the same political persuasion. I still love my family who believes differently than me. I love all of the people in my life who have different political beliefs than me. It's just sometimes hard to talk to them about anything along those lines. I do have professional relationships, sure, with people that believe differently than me. It doesn't come up. I may not even know. Because a lot of my professional relationships are conducted completely online and I never see these people face to face. So probably, you know. But I do also have professional relationships with people that I know for a fact believe differently than I do and vote differently than I do. But friendships, I really don't anymore. And it takes enough energy to deal with my family, my entire family, who all vote differently than me and constantly would give me shit about it if I didn't just hang up on them whenever they bring it up. All of my friends come from theater or voice acting, or they're mutual friends between myself and my husband. And we really are sort of a bubble now. That's a flaw, but it's true. There is one acquaintance of ours who we know is a conservative, which honestly makes no sense given her background.
I have some of those too.
I don't get it. But I remember thinking, do I even want this person in my house if they support XYZ? And I had that thought, and then I was like, no, that's not, I don't need to be thinking like that. Because I realized the only way to actually ameliorate this situation is to treat everybody with kindness and respect, which is what Republicans are not doing right now. Well, I was taught to when I was in youth group. Like, I need to know where the disconnect happened. Like, when was the moment that they decided, actually, we're going to hate everybody?
So I can tell you that my youth group experience was traumatic. And I was in youth group at least 10 years before you were in youth group because I'm at least 10 years older than you. And my youth group did like an intervention on me. I've told you that story before, right? About
I think so.
that. And it was because I made friends at school with a gay guy, and it wasn't even friends like we did stuff together. It was we worked in an office together and sat next to each other and had conversations. And I thought he was a great guy, and he liked me, and we talked about boys.
Yeah.
And that was it. I don't even remember his name. That, I think, my experience with church was in the 80s is when I started seeing the judgment and the different behavior inside church and outside of church and the smugness.
Yes.
And the I know better than you, and oh, you poor thing, you're going to hell. And
see, I wonder if if there was at any point a divide denominationally. Because, for instance, there are more inclusive denominations of Christianity, like Episcopalian, for instance, who allow their priests to be women and LGBTQ people, and they are a lot more inclusive. Those are the churches that you see with pride flags outside, you know. They're still connected to some toxic things.
Yeah, I still don't trust them.
But there's, at least an attempt. And so I wonder if, like, what denomination or what was the difference? Because my youth group growing up was either Presbyterian, like I went to a lot of different youth groups because, like I said, it was social for me. So I would go to my friends' churches' youth groups as well, and just kind of meet everybody.
But so you went because you wanted to, and you believed what they were saying.
Yes, and
see,
also
that's
there were
the
boys
difference.
there.
That's the difference, though, Katie. I vocally questioned things that I was not supposed to be questioning. So I was outcast by the church. I was outcast by the youth group. I was outcast by my parents because, and I mean, they didn't kick me out of the house. They didn't stop loving me. They didn't disown me. But they would always take the word of someone who professed to be a Christian over me.
Yeah, that's traumatic, yeah.
That's where I'm going with this. So people who are in it, in the church, in it, like my mother, she has mind-blowing that anyone doesn't believe what she believes because it's in the Bible. It's the truth. It's the word of God.
And that's why it pairs so well with this political doctrine right now because they're so absolutist about like, well, if you don't believe in Trump, you've got Trump derangement syndrome, so I don't have to listen to a word you say because you're crazy. But you do see liberals and leftists also taking that same mentality of like, well, if you're MAGA, then I have no respect for you. You know, like I was talking to my husband about this while I was writing this out. And I was like, if a lady in a grocery store dropped something, you know, a lady wearing a MAGA hat in a grocery store dropped something and spilled all her stuff, I would still go help her.
Yeah, same.
I would still help her. And he was like, I mean, I might go help her, but I would also be very tempted to like point and laugh. And I was like, see, that's not going to help anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but there's people like that. But there's people on, like, my husband would say that he would laugh at that lady. He would say that he would not help her. But I think that he would in the event that it happened.
And I'm going to get to that later because when you're face to face. When you're face to face with this person, it's a lot harder to be an asshole.
Because they're still a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and I absolutely do maintain relationships with folks who think different than me, both politically and religiously. But none of it usually comes up in like real life day-to-day social situations, only usually on social media or when you find out because they're wearing the hat or whatever, you know. I actually read a really good opinion piece. It was in the New York Times this past July, and it was a liberal who was a speechwriter for Obama. His name is David Litt. He didn't like his wife's sister's husband because they were very different. David was a well-educated liberal, and his brother-in-law was a trade school grad Joe Rogan fan. And as Trump's times started, you know, around 2014, 2015, when he started, their differences only grew larger and larger, and David consciously chose to be cold to Matt. He felt like it was his job and also the only way to teach him a lesson, that he was going to teach this guy a lesson. He was going to be mean to him. He even noted in the articles that he'd seen during the pandemic things that literally said it might be necessary to mock your anti-vax friends. And then David and Matt began surfing together. They began doing something together. Matt was an experienced surfer and David was not. So they wound up spending time together, getting to know each other beyond politics and religion, beyond all of that. Lo and behold, despite their political differences, they liked it. They liked each other. And David thought perhaps he would convince Matt to come over to his side, or they would hate each other, and neither of those things happened. They just found that they enjoyed some of the same things, period. Matt even told David once that if he ran for office, he would vote for him because he's a regular guy who walks the dog.
Okay. So I have some thoughts about that. It at the beginning of Trump times, 'twas very different.
It
than
was
'tis now.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
it does seem clear at this point, now that we know more about the motivations of the people in charge, that this was orchestrated from the beginning. But it was not clear at the time, I don't think, how fucking fascist they actually are.
No, I actually said out loud to my husband, if Donald Trump gets elected president, that will be hilarious.
It's all fucked up, and like, Democrats have disappointed me many a time, okay?
They continue to.
They continue to disappoint me often. But, like, it wasn't the same as it is now.
No.
However, I'm not arguing that we should cut everyone out of our lives who has a different political stance. But it is really hard for me to respect people on a personal level when the things that they vote for are actively harming my other friends.
Yeah. Same.
My gay friends, my trans friends, my friends who are not white, my women friends.
Yeah. Myself.
And truly, yourself. Yeah, the only way to show people with prejudices that they are wrong is to let them get to know people who are different from them on a personal level. And then it's a lot harder for them to be actively racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. When you have to look someone in the eye and tell them you hate them or think less of them or want to take away their rights just because of something they can't control, it becomes a lot harder to justify. And that's why it's so shitty on social media, because we're not looking each other in the eye, are we? You're doing it under you have a mask in front of you.
Yeah, it's bravery.
And I don't want anybody to hate me or unfriend me because of my religion or lack thereof. So therefore, why would I hate someone else because of their religion? The really insidious thing is how conservative politics have become so enmeshed with evangelicalism. Do I know Christians who are liberal or leftist? Sure. But we have to recognize what the real problem is, because none of that shit is in the Bible. None of it. The Bible, well, the New Testament at least, does not teach hate. It's the people who want to manipulate it for their own personal or political gain who do that. And so if we can just actually remove the politics and the religion and go back to separation of church and state and maintain that, we might be chill.
Right.
But the fact that they are entrenched now and that you associate those two things together, you see someone wearing a cross necklace and you assume that you know the way they vote.
Now.
And that's fucked up.
For me, the biggest trigger in the world for me is Christianity. I have such just serious levels of bitterness towards that church.
Yeah, we're aware.
Yeah.
We picked up on that.
And
it's fucked up what happened to you.
It's just fucked up how it's such a thing for me. And so then when you combine that with voting for things, it makes me so mad. It's like a white hot burning rage inside of me. And I'm not a rageful person, but it's when they combine what I learned as a child, what I believed. It's embarrassing. Is that the right word? That my family, my parents, like actually fell for it.
I'm embarrassed by that too. Like I'm embarrassed that my dad, who was one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Same. I thought my dad was so
sucked
smart.
into this.
And I think I was wrong.
But that's the thing about cults. Anybody is susceptible. And we talked about this on our Is Your Workplace a Cult episode. Yeah. Like anybody can get sucked into this. They do it strategically when you're vulnerable. They make you feel afraid so that you are vulnerable. Part of what they're doing is fear-mongering.
Oh, absolutely. But I think the whole Christian religion is fear-mongering.
Exactly. And that's why it
works.
The Venn diagram is almost a circle at this point. And it's really, like, the more that I think about it, the more I try to have empathy. Because if I were in a cult, a dangerous cult, like a regular cult, who's going to threaten my life somehow and take me for all I'm worth, etc. And there's very little difference between these things at this point, between but I would want to be treated like a person it's hard for me to like draw that line in the sand, like you were asking, of where, at what point do I cut you out of my life? That point is when I ask you not to talk about politics and you continue.
Yeah.
You continue to push it because I'm trying to have a respectful human to human relationship. But I cannot do that if I constantly feel threatened, like I have to defend myself.
I know I asked you about the line, and it just seems like the MAGA people, they just keep moving it. They just keep moving their line. I grab them by the would have been my line if I was
exactly it.
Part of that group.
Yeah, that was the point when I said to my mother, how can you support this when he said something like that?
Let me guess. Did she say, it's just locker room talk?
She said that, but then she also said, but in Christianity, we forgive people for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, if my dad had ever said a phrase like that in his life,
it would have been bad.
It would have been bad. You would have wanted to leave him. And yet, why are you supporting a man and put him in control of the most powerful man on earth who thinks that way? Even if he's joking.
You don't know what
which
my
he
mom's
wasn't.
answer was? Ivy, he was much younger then. He's saved now.
My fucking God.
And that's just locker room talk. And I said, Mom, my little brother was an athlete. And if you walked into that locker room and you heard my brother say, hey guys, just go grab that girl by her, he would have been grounded, probably even spanked. Like, it would have been real bad. And I was at the time being followed around my neighborhood by a guy who I had to call the police on a number of times. My dad and I got into an argument on the phone about it because I was like, that guy could have heard Donald Trump say, well, all you got to do is grab him by the meow. You don't ask. You just grab him by the meow or whatever it was he said.
Yeah.
And that guy being, a little bit messed up in the head might have heard that and went like, well, I guess that's all I have to do.
It does seem like the things that he says and does make it okay for people who already believed those things to say them out loud.
Yes.
Or to act on them or whatever.
That was my whole point with my dad, but he still went on to love Donald Trump.
I think one of the real problems with this like fucked up codependent relationship between politics and religion in this country, like, is the way that conservatives can twist the Bible to mean whatever they want it to mean. They can, whatever you say to try and refute their argument to show them facts or whatever, they have a canned response like, oh, you're brainwashed by the liberal media.
Yeah.
Or you only watch the fucked up news.
Yeah, we get the same answer from all of them.
Like, and it's really like I can make an argument to my mom and I predict the way she's going to respond to me.
Me too.
Because that's how she has been conditioned. And it really relates so much to the same way that, people would argue about religion in the first place or like try to convince someone to come to Christ and be saved or whatever. It's the same style of trying to convince someone. It's the same style of like nothing you say can actually be refuted, right? And that brings me to the vocab word of the week.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a 2-part episode, my friends, obviously.
Yeah.
But
maybe 3 if I can't stop talking.
Oh my God, Ivy, no. Okay, the vocab word of the week is incorrigible.
Why does that remind me of a cartoon?
Because I feel like you've probably heard some cartoon character say, you're incorrigible.
Yeah.
I just hear it in that like
that's
that
me
voice.
too. That's what I'm hearing, like a cartoon character.
Right. It is an adjective. It means incapable of being corrected or amended, such as not reformable, as in an incorrigible criminal, persistently guilty of misbehaving, incorrigible children, or not manageable, unruly, incorrigible hair. There's also other forms of it. Okay, so when I say that arguing with someone who is part of the MAGA cult, those people are incorrigible.
They are
Like
incorrigible.
you cannot correct them. You cannot attempt to convince them. Like at that point, you are wasting your energy.
Yeah.
Because if they are trying to argue with you in the first place, like they have been so conditioned. And it's sad at this point.
Yeah.
Because when I think about my dad, like I think about my dad who's no longer with us to prove that he could be saved from this cult. He died as a member of this cult. He died as a person thinking I had lost faith and he was worried about me.
Yeah, same.
You know? And that breaks my heart because I feel like I could have sat down with him and said, but Dad, doesn't Jesus say that you're not supposed to hurt people? You know? And I feel like I could have had an intelligent conversation with him about it. But he's not here anymore.
See, I wish that I could have had a conversation with my dad, but he would never have ever, number one, gone against his, Christian beliefs, and number two, gone against what my mother said.
See, it would have been my mother going against what her dad tells her to think. My dad sort of followed my mom on that front. My dad was a very devout Christian. He studied the Bible very intensely, and he knew his scripture. He was able to have intelligent debates with people about how he believed it should be interpreted. He did not agree with every preacher who had something to say. He had his own interpretation on it.
Same. My dad we left the cult that I mentioned earlier after a very short time because my dad said, I'm not going to be told how to raise my children.
Yeah.
So, and that was good. I can see where that would have led to some really bad things if we had stayed in that church.
Yeah.
So that was good, but it was like the one time my dad made a decision against the church.
Right.
Right. Otherwise it was always against me.
Right. But on the other hand, my mom, she's totally incorrigible. I cannot have a conversation with her about this at all.
Same.
And she's always the one that brings it up. I'm the one that says,
Same.
Not going to say what I'm thinking. She's the one that brings it up. Like the other day, I was complaining about how much one of my medical bills was. And she was like, well, it wasn't this bad until Obamacare. And I'm like, Mom, that's literally not, we don't even have Obamacare. Like, what are you fucking talking about? It's like she's so convinced that she's right that she will not listen to any other opinion. No fact can penetrate her, MAGA bubble.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Well, what's worse is my mother doesn't even watch the news or pay attention to anything, and she's still just as incorrigible and can't understand why I don't like Donald Trump. And everything she says, because my dad told her, my dad's been dead for 3 years. She's still, everything that he put in or everything that she hears from her sister or my brother, she is also incorrigible, and she doesn't even see it with her own eyes. Like it doesn't even come from a place of her believing it. It comes from a place of her being told to believe it.
Exactly. Yeah. And this, I think, is one of the things I respected about my dad was that if I questioned my faith, he was fine with that. He would be like, okay, let's talk about it. What question do you have? Like, let's work it out and figure it out. And like, fine. And I just don't think it's healthy to raise a child with a certain belief, tell them that no other belief is acceptable, and they're never to question that belief, no matter what it is,
Yeah, but in Christianity, you're not allowed to question.
I mean, I guess in the one you were brought up in, like mine was more loosey-goosey, I guess, because we kind of went between churches sometimes. And my dad he was a Sunday school teacher, but he sort of left the church that he was involved in when I, at one point, walked into that church and said, I would like to be baptized. And the church was like, only if you're part of our membership program and only if you're, da-da-da. And you had to pay to be a member of this church. And so I was like, that's not what Jesus would have done. And my dad was like, absolutely not. So we left that church. And I ended up going and getting baptized at another church that didn't have those dumb requirements.
No, we left a lot. I mean, we didn't stay at the same because we moved 3 times, but we kind of jumped around a little bit. It was always, this is the law because the Bible says so.
It's a very fundamentalist outlook.
That was the Bible, and like I told you, me asking questions was me being rebellious. I had to be, and I had to memorize scriptures. I had to, it was all, it was all God all the time. I have said many times that I feel like Jesus stole my mom from me because she went through a phase where I even went to my dad when I was in the 5th or 6th grade with a copy of Guidepost magazine and an article I read about some Christian woman going and shooting somebody over her beliefs. Over the difference of beliefs, she went and shot somebody. And I went to my dad, and my dad actually laughed at me. He was, he was totally poo-pooed the whole, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But it was I had this, I was concerned about my mother's, she had a room that was called the prayer room. That was where she went to pray. It was wild when we lived in Kentucky. And that was during that whole, when we went to that cult church.
Yeah, wow. I feel like it's the same type of you're not allowed to question with the politics now,
Yeah.
It's
That's because
the overlap
they've come together.
Is fucked. That's what
they've become one.
Yeah.
There should not be the 10 Commandments in school. There should not be all of this, religious stuff happening. There should not be a prayer meeting in the White House.
Well, there has always been a prayer breakfast in the White House. Let me look this up. Has taken place since 1953, which was a very conservative time. So there you go.
That's when they put the under God in the Pledge Allegiance too. Well, I never knew there was a prayer breakfast.
There has been since
at 1953. The White House, so I thought that was new. Because I feel like the 50s has a lot to do with a lot of the current.
Yeah, that's the time when America was great,
of
supposedly,
church and state.
Right? Yeah, I mean that seems to be what they want to take us back to. That time.
Well, I love the dresses.
I do too. Honestly, the fashion on point.
I'm good with that.
Anything else can go fuck.
I said I'm going to still ask my questions, even if I'm wearing kitten heels and a cute little
absolutely.
dress.
There is a social media person. I need to send you a link to her content. She is a NASA astrophysicist, and she dresses like 1950s Barbie every day.
I love that.
And so she has her little pink office with her PhD, diplomas and stuff on the wall, and she looks like Elle Woods. It's adorable.
I love nothing more
yes,
than
there
Elle
is
Woods.
nothing about femininity that should be considered problematic. You just exist. Everybody just exist and shut up.
Yeah, please just exist.
Okay, so
don't stop existing.
Listeners, we're going to wrap up our conversation here for this episode, but we will be continuing next week when we talk about maintaining relationships with people that have different political/religious beliefs that are somehow now the same thing. And we'll see you then. We'll see you then.
That are somehow now the same thing. I love that, Katie. Thank you.
Look.
And y'all, if you got something to say about this topic, bring it on. Contact at toxicwasteoftime.com. Also, Facebook and Instagram, Toxic Waste of Time Podcast. If you have something to say, we want you to say it. Even if it is, fuck y'all, we like our religion mixed with our politics.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to comment mean things on our podcast if you want. Yeah. That helps the algorithm.
It's so fun.
That's the other thing that, I don't want to get into that. We'll talk about that next time. But the algorithm, girl, that algorithm. She loves this shit. So join us next time when we continue our conversation about politics and religion. The stuff we're not supposed to talk about. That's why we have a podcast. We can talk about whatever we want. Don't tell me not to talk about it.
We can talk about whatever the fuck we want. Tell me what not to talk about. I'll grab you by your pussy.
I'll do it more.
I'll do it better.
I'll do it more. And listeners, you may have picked up on this, but Ivy is coming to terms with some of her religious trauma over the course of these episodes that we've recorded. And this is something that maybe didn't fully come out until we had a candid discussion about it. So listeners, if you relate to that, if some of that is ringing a bell for you, it's okay to feel how you feel. And it's okay to feel mad about it. We encourage you to see a therapist. We are pro-therapy. We are not therapists, but we encourage you to please talk to someone, because sometimes just saying it out loud can make you realize that it was a bigger deal than you thought at the time. Or maybe that it's still affecting you in weird ways that you couldn't even identify. Please get therapy. Just everyone, go get therapy. All right. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next time.